I am Dr. Daryl Camp, Superintendent, San Lorenzo Unified School District. This is my second year as superintendent of this wonderful district. Will there be some grading expectations? Yes, and we're currently working with the San Lorenzo Education Association, or San Lorenzo Education Association, or SLEA, and trying to define or more clearly define what that's going to look like. Obviously, each teacher has their own, they come up with their own standards working within the department and within the school. So, but students will have some expectations with grading, yes. Another lesson that we learned, what we heard from students was that there needed to be some more structure that in the school day, and it would be helpful of a way of structuring the meeting times and expectations, as well as how to find information. So we're doing two things. We've been in conversation all July with committees, and I know there was a student focus group that met near the end, mid to end of July, and came up with a draft schedule for each of the different levels, elementary, middle, and high. And we're now in the process of finalizing those schedules, working alongside the San Lorenzo Education Association. So we're pretty confident that there will be a schedule very similar to what you described, where students will have an expectations to meet and log in probably 3 classes a day. And so that will be the expectation. Oh, the other part to that too is we just recently purchased, board approved, the learning management system, Canvas. I know some students that are taking junior college courses, community college courses, are familiar with it. I think it's utilized at Chabot, but it's a way of housing the learning, if you will, housing where students go to log on, where assignments can be kept, syllabi, those type of things. So we had all these different platforms that were being utilized by teachers. And imagine if you're a parent and you're trying to support the work of your students, and you have students, 2 or 3 students, and they're using multiple platforms, it leaves it rather chaotic. So we're through this purchasing of the learning management system, Canvas, we hope to house the information, but that won't be available immediately. We have to do some things to make sure that our system is interfacing with Canvas, and then we need to do things to prepare our educators so they're familiar with the system. We're hopeful that will be rolled out to students and our families sometime in that October space. That's a good question. It's one that we ask frequently, and Dr. Sadiq in our Technology Integration Services Department and staff have been working on that. One decision that we made last year was to allow students to keep the Chromebooks over the summer. And so that's going to minimize some of the Chromebook distribution needs as we get into the school year. But invariably, there will still be some students that will need either Chromebooks or the hotspots. And we did purchase additional hotspots. So we're anticipating, an assessment should be going out to our families in the next few days, or within the next week, I think, that will reassess families and student needs. And then based on that, our intent obviously is to get the device, Chromebook, and a hotspot to students as quickly as possible. Absolutely. What we currently have, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but within the schedule that we hope to establish and communicate to our families, there's a lunchtime period where our Child and Nutrition Services will be distributing meals to students. At the end of last year, or throughout, actually since the pandemic and the shutdown started, we were distributing meals usually 5 days a week on most weeks. We're going to reduce that, but when our students come to pick up the meals, there will be, if you will, double portions. So it will be minimizing the times that people need to come to the school, but the proportions will be greater in order to cover a 2 or 3 day period instead. Because we plan on distributing meals I think it was 2 days a week. It might be 3 days a week. And we're going to do it from, I think it was 4 elementary sites, 1 high school, 1 middle, I believe. Working out the kinks of that, where under, what was it, Senate Bill 98, you might have looked at it already. It was the trailer bill that was approved along with the Budget Act. It gave some stipulations of how or what counted as attendance. So what we're trying to do now is to convert our previous system to the new system of how you keep track of attendance. And it in the law, if you read it literally, says that there's an expectation for well, there's a definition for what's distance learning, and there's different terms that are being floated about, like synchronous instruction or live instruction, and then asynchronous instruction. Both can count for instructional minutes, but and attendance as well. So we're trying to work out our kinks of how we're going to code it essentially in our computer system. There's also an expectation, though, and I hear what you're saying. It's going to create a dilemma because we will have increased, stronger expectations for attendance than what we had at the end of last year. If a student's unable to meet those expectations, then we would try to work collaboratively with the family to see why and what we can do to work toward a solution. But we definitely need students to be engaged. We're still under a compulsory education law, so it says that students are expected to go to school. So that will be an expectations, and then just like any time when a student's not meeting those expectations, oftentimes that means another conversation would happen with student and family. Say to our district, our students, our families, I just felt horrible with the pandemic, especially for the class of 2020, and not being able to have a traditional graduation ceremony at this time. It hurts me. I feel for the students that aren't able to have the socialization, especially that happens in school. I feel bad about the academic part too, but I know there's so many great things happen socially too, and in extracurricular activities. And I just feel like you're losing on that, and it hurts my heart. I do ask everybody though to just say, okay, just students that are going through this, you'll be able to talk about this for years. Remember, people, unless you were around in 1918, you haven't been through this. So I just encourage people to keep doing your best. Take care of yourself. I'm really concerned, and I know our staff's really concerned that there's a certain level of anxiety and fear and worry that's not good for our health overall. So at the root of everything, I say take care of yourself. Make sure you're practicing self-care. You're do what you need to do to minimize your anxiety, which normally means talk to people, exercise regularly, and journal. Just things to process what you're feeling, and your feelings are your feelings. And this is one thing, it doesn't really matter, young adult or adult. I think everybody's going through, this is strange for everybody. So I would just say, take care of yourselves, ask if you need help, and we'll do what we can to make sure that we have our staff available. We have social workers and counselors that can help out. And the last thing is, while doing that, we're going to try to create a learning environment where students can continue with their education